Good evening. Welcome to the regular Board of Trustees meeting for the El Paso Community College. I have to say a few things here. If anybody wants to view this, they can go to the EPCC YouTube channel. Refer to the link https://go/EPCC. And before we get started, if I could have Mr. Corrado, is he here? He walked out. All right. Hey, Dr. Smith, lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Pam, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Uxer. Present. Mrs. Robles.
Present.
Ms. Sanchez is going to be late. Dr. Graham is absent today. Ms. Naheda.
Present.
Mr. Haggerty.
Present.
And Ms. Pena is also not joining us today.
We're going to go to 1.4.
Item 1.4, approval of minutes. The minutes recorded in the agenda are a summary of the presentations and actions taken. These are for the minutes of June 29th, regular Board of Trustees meeting, and July 27th, regular Board of Trustees meeting.
Have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Call a question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye. Again, I want to welcome everybody, guests and staff. 1.6, open forum. Pam, we have anybody?
No, sir, no one has signed up. Item 1.7, presentations by individuals, groups, and organizations. Item 1.7.1, Dr. William Sarata, College President, will recognize individuals who have retired from the college district.
Chair Haggerty, members of the board, August is always bittersweet in that we usually have our largest number of retirements in the month of August, and this August is no exception. So I'll be recognizing a number of individuals. I'm going to start with Mr. Andrew Auckland. Mr. Andrew Auckland began his EPCC career in 1990 as a part-time clinical teaching assistant in the nursing program. In this role, Mr. Auckland supervised nursing students' hospital clinical experiences. In 1995, he returned to work in the acute care setting. However, he couldn't stay away from EPCC for long. In 2009, he rejoined the EPCC nursing program as a full-time faculty member, where he earned tenure in 2014. He received his Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from the University of Leeds in West Yorkshire, England, his basic nursing training in Sheffield, England, and a Master of Science in Nursing from the University of Phoenix. He has been an active member of professional nursing organizations and the college community. He is a member and a post officer of the District 7 chapter of the Texas Association of Para-Anesthesia Nurses, and he has been a member of the American Nurses Association and Texas State Teachers Association. At EPCC, he completed the Teachership Academy, served on multiple standing committees, taught a variety of nursing courses, and mentored tenure-track nursing colleagues. He has mentored many nursing students throughout his career. He served as lead advisor for the EPCC Student Nurses Association for 10 years. As a lead advisor, his nursing students volunteered at health fairs and health screenings. His students participated in service projects to benefit the Child Crisis Center and the Opportunity Center for the Homeless. His easygoing and helpful personality, coupled with his deep knowledge and experience, have made him very effective in the classroom and in clinicals. He frequently tutored students to help them understand and apply their learning, and he coached students throughout numerous nursing skills practice sessions. He has been an instrumental professor in the nursing program, and his students and colleagues will miss his willingness to help the college and the community. Professor Auckland, thank you for your service and commitment to the college and your students. We wish you the very best in retirement. You shouldn't sit too soon, because we have a few more.
That was a long, you had a long history with the college.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Take a break in between.
So it is a pleasure to recognize Mrs. Maria Faber for her 23 years of service at El Paso Community College. Ms. Faber began working at EPCC in 1997 as a student volunteer with the Department of Recruitment, and in 1999 she was hired part-time. She was later hired as a clerk one at the financial aid office, and in 2004 she was promoted to financial aid specialist position that she has held to this day. Throughout her career, she has enjoyed motivating and encouraging students to pursue a college degree and sharing all the opportunities EPCC offers. Her most rewarding experience was being in a position where she was able to assist students of all ethnicities, backgrounds, and ages, and emphasize the importance of pursuing higher education and obtaining a college degree. She enjoyed seeing students achieve their academic goals. After retirement, she plans to travel and dedicate her time to her family. With a large family and children living out of town, her schedule will be pretty busy. She is looking forward to spending time with her 12 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. She will be dearly missed, and with most sincere gratitude, we thank her for her dedication to the Financial Aid Office and the students and families she served. The Financial Aid Office and the El Paso Community College District wish her the best in her retirement and the next chapter in life.
For your day. The county was over, right? We're still doing it?
Next is Ms. Elvia Varela. Nearly 32 years ago, Ms. Varela established her career at El Paso Community College with the Testing Services Department. She began as a part-time employee, then in 1995 transitioned to a full-time testing clerk. Her background in public service and finance helped her fulfill her duties by assisting students in the community to reach their educational goals. As a testing clerk, she administered countless placement exams, instructor and national exams at every campus, including Fort Bliss, local high schools, and even Ciudad Juarez. She would often encourage students to perform their best on each exam and urge them to strive to further their education. Over the years, she has also achieved her own academic milestones by earning her associate's degree from EPCC and a bachelor's in computer operations from Park University. Throughout her time at EPCC, she participated and completed the Leadership Academy and received honors such as the Diamond Award and Employee of the Month. Her bold attitude and wonderful sense of humor are what make her a remarkable presence in the workplace, which will not be forgotten. She is thankful for a very rewarding journey at EPCC and treasures the friends she has made along the way. Upon her retirement, she plans to enjoy life and stay healthy. Thank you for your dedication to the College District, and we wish you a happy retirement.
It's gonna be a long one.
So next, we'll recognize Dr. Joanne Peeples. Dr. Joanne Peeples began teaching at El Paso Community College in the fall of 1989. This was the first time she had taught at the two-year college level after teaching at university since the fall of 1963 as a graduate student or lecturer. She learned that she loved the smaller class size, and in 1994, she earned tenure with El Paso Community College. Her top priority was making sure that students learned math, not just memorized facts, and that they could see where the math they were learning applied to real life. Throughout her career at EPCC, she strived to improve her teaching in several ways. She attended the Institute for History of Mathematics and its use in teaching for 2 weeks in the summers of 1998 and 1999 in Washington, D.C., where she met and worked with math historians. As a result of all her students complete a biography of mathematician project, and she can explain to students where and why important mathematical concepts such as logarithms originated, and in some cases introduce anecdotes about various mathematicians. She also belongs to several mathematical professional organizations. Through the Mathematical Association of America, MAA, she not only worked on several committees, but was also chair of the two-year college committee. Through this national organization, she has picked up several new teaching ideas, such as oral final exams and calculus. She is the secretary-treasurer for the Southwestern section of MAA, has made many connections with universities in New Mexico and Arizona, and can help students decide where to go to complete a four-year degree. She has received both the Meritorious Service Award and the Distinguished Teacher Award from the Southwestern section. As a member of the American Mathematical Association of Two-Year Colleges, she has been president, conference chair, and board member of the New Mexico affiliate of MAA-TYC. She has also been able to take students to New Mexico's Mathematical Association Spring Conference and have them present their projects. Among other recognitions, she has been awarded the Hall of Fame Award from the New Mexico affiliate and the Teaching Excellence Award from the Texas affiliate. She has received numerous accolades while working at EPCC, including the Teaching Excellence Award nomination for the Minnie Stevens Piper Professor Award, the Trans Mountain Employee of the Month, and the Trans Mountain Shooting Star Award. Dr. Stephen Smith, Vice President of Instruction and Workforce Education, stated the following. Joanne was one of the first friendly faces I saw at the institution when I started as a faculty member, and I've had the privilege of knowing her for almost 34 years. During our long friendship, I watched her implement innovative teaching approaches and admired her ability to mentor countless students and faculty. She has an amazing ability to create a love for math in those she encounters. She will be greatly missed. Dr. Peeples says she cares for her students and believes that anyone can learn to love mathematics. They just have to be shown how beautiful it is. We wish you a happy and healthy retirement. Congratulations, Dr. Peeples.
For you.
I hate to go because the students are my kids.
Good luck to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There's a lot of people in the audience.
Ms. Leticia Leti Urenda will retire from El Paso Community College with 40 years of service. She began her career at EPCC in August 1982 as an accounts receivable and accounts payable clerk. Over the years, she worked her way up to accounts receivable supervisor. In total, she dedicated over 26 years to the financial services department. Looking for a change and a new way to assist students, she became the district-wide manager of the Office of Admissions and Registration, working at the Valle Verde, Rio Grande, and Mission del Paso campuses, and eventually settling in as a manager of the Trans Mountain and Fort Bliss campuses. During her tenure at EPCC, she volunteered for various EPCC activities and committees, including serving as the Right and Responsibilities Representative, Vice President and President of the Classified Staff Association. In addition, she served as Secretary and President of the Professional Staff Association. She has been an intricate part of the admissions and registration leadership team and has represented EPCC in various events like Apply Texas Intake Sessions, TACRO, and Operation College Bound. In addition to guiding all the admissions and registration employees, she has served as our education liaison with the Fort Bliss campus. As a class of 1990 graduate from EPCC, she understands the value of education, and this is evident in the patience, compassion, and care she shows when working with students. She always took the extra step to ensure that students and staff members were always served to full capacity. If she didn't know the answer, she would go and find the answer. Her willingness to put in the extra time and effort to help meet deadlines has demonstrated a commitment to excellence that we have come to depend upon. She will be dearly missed in the Admissions and Registration Office. Upon her retirement, she's looking forward to traveling to Europe with her family. She is in the process of getting a home built and will be spending her days enjoying her home and volunteering with Horizon Community Services. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for your service to the college district. Congratulations.
I think I'm ready to go to Europe too.
I know
know where you live.
Que era muy alborotado. Yeah, because he was a surgeon, and he used to give classes in Mexico to the students.
And finally, we have the gentleman with the camera. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Mo to take his camera because Mr. Fernie Garcia is retiring after 27 years of service at the college district. So, yeah. For 27 years, Mr. Garcia has been a part of every event the college has held. The college and the marketing department will miss his skills as a photographer, a great employee, and a friend. Knowing Mr. Garcia, you know he's most proud of his family, his wife Lisa, his 3 sons, and his 8 grandchildren. 2 of his sons attended the U.S. Naval Academy and served as officers in the United States Marine Corps. Enjoy your retirement and have fun with those grandkids as much as possible, and please keep taking pictures. Congratulations, Mr. Garcia.
Why did you get his camera up here to take another picture?
He's always at the other side of the camera.
Yeah. A year after I started, 1996.
So every time at all the graduations, we always take pictures together.
I've been here a long time.
You have been a long time.
These people are leaving.
Bernie,
Good day.
give those baby. Okay, next item.
Lot of pictures. So who's gonna take his place?
Dr. Mo will determine that.
Huh?
Harry will determine.
Oh, she hasn't hired yet?
Bernie's, did Bernie give you those copies? The budget, he didn't give them. Okay. Item 1.7.2, optional presentations will be made by the presidents of the Classified Staff Association, the Professional Staff Association, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association.
Guess I'm it again. Members of the board, Mr. President, Vice Presidents, Deans, members of the audience, people out there in cyberspace. Going to be a short one here. Things appear to be returning to at least a semi-normal state for the faculty, with classes going fairly well, as far as I understand anyway. The faculty, I think I can speak for the entire faculty here when I say we appreciate the 5% pay raise that you all authorized. And we would very much appreciate a third incentive that I saw on the agenda somewhere.
No.
Anywho, one issue that seems to be a little ongoing, the ongoing elevator issues at Valle Verde and Rio Grande, but I understand those are being taken care of, but I also understand sometimes these things do take time. So, thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Okay. Item 1.8, Communications. Item 1.8.1, Discussion and Review by the Board of Trustees of Data, Statistics, Policies, and General Information related to the College District.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, we have Associate Vice President Blaine Primovich, who's going to provide today's update with regards to data.
Okay, thank you. Chair Haggerty, Dr. Sarata, members of the board. I'm Blaine Primovich, AVP of Workforce and Continuing Education. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce you to our area. Fairly small part of the college, but we're very, very active, and we have far reach within the community. So I want to do due diligence and give credit to all the great work that's going on within our area. I'm also going to move pretty quickly in the interest of time, but feel free to stop me as needed for any questions. So wanted to give you a little bit of an overview to start. So we're normally looking at our college-wide enrollment numbers, and so I wanted to put something analogous to that up there. This is fall 2019 through fall 2022. Quick shout out and thank you to Doug Shermer and support from AVP Fernandez and Dr. Penley. Mr. Shermer has put together kind of a beta test of a CE enrollment database for us, and that's what you're looking at here. He's done a phenomenal job, so we're able to now track our enrollments. Still a few things that I'll highlight that make it hard to create the equivalent to our college-wide enrollments. And of course, all mistakes in there are mine, and I will point out the first one. So down with our senior adult program at the bottom in spring 2022, their enrollment is actually 618 and not the 2263 that is the law enforcement enrollment. But I just wanted to point that out in case you're wondering why the numbers don't look quite right there. But the first thing I will point out, the top row there is CE of all divisions. And it's an important point to make. The continuing education courses and enrollment encompass the entire college. It's not just our division. And so here we have across the college, one of our larger CE programs is our Language Institute under Dean Guerra. We have a lot of customized training that goes on, and these are set up as continuing education courses. We have a number of student success initiative courses, our TSI boot camps, helping students bypass some of their developmental education work. Those are all set up as continuing education courses. We also do our dual credit faculty training through basically no-cost CE courses. So there's quite a bit that goes into these numbers that you're looking at, and that's why they're not as linear as the college-wide numbers. And so if you'll notice there is that dip in fall 2020 that we're used to seeing, but then you'll notice it's not really a linear recovery or progression from there. And a lot of that has to do with customized training and the boot camps and other types of things that we're setting up for students and faculty within that. And so I'll be mentioning some of those grants that support that. But it seems like our continuing education numbers were pretty robust even through that. And here, just many thanks and kudos to all the faculty who in many cases could not move this training online. And so we'll look for a lot of our workforce training that had to take place in person, sometimes limiting enrollments for social distancing. You'll see our major subdivisions of our division, the health and fitness, business technical, our law enforcement academy, which we'll be focusing on in a moment, our ever popular motorcycle training. That keeps growing and is constantly in demand. I also wanted to highlight the coursework that we do for Latuna. We have 2 AVIs, 2 full-time faculty providing instruction in computers and also in automotive at the moment. We're currently talking to them about a bid to return welding and HVAC to the correctional facility. Also, there's quite a bit of money that the Bureau of Prisons has released to reduce recidivism rates. And so we're also in communication with them about other types of personal enrichment courses that we can provide to those held at the correctional facility. And also our Risk Management Institute has already started providing some OSHA training for their staff. So a lot of opportunities for partnership and growth there with Latuna over the upcoming year. Our massage therapy, our overall personal enrichment courses, Children's College, which in the database became Youth College. I wanted to keep things true to the database there. You'll see throughout all of those programs, there is that dip with the pandemic, but also a pretty steady recovery. Our senior adult program is recovering very, very strongly, even notwithstanding the little typo there. But one other thing I wanted to point out that makes it a little hard to compare fall to fall, spring to spring on the CE side is our enrollments are measured by quarters. And so I put summer 21, summer 22 up there. I didn't have summer going back to fall 19 in our beta database, so that's why I didn't present those numbers. But the end of the summer quarter is August 31st. So a great deal of our fall enrollment is actually reported as summer. And so it's a little bit of summer, plus you see the initial fall enrollments, and they look very small, and that's because fall enrollment is ongoing. A lot of our program courses are cyclical. And so as one section ends, the enrollment will continue into that next section in September and October and take us all the way through the end of the semester. So a little different take on enrollments. I did want to point out law enforcement. You'll see a small image up there in the top left of the gun range. The gun range is significant because it serves as a regional training facility for all federal, state, and local law enforcement in the area. So it's very utilized, very, very important training facility within the region, on top of supporting our courses and being open to the public. I promise you no one is harmed in our training, but probably are made to feel uncomfortable from time to time. I just couldn't resist the image at the bottom. One of the things I wanted to highlight with the law enforcement numbers is their pass rate. So the state records the first attempt pass rate. That's what we report to the state. Students have up to 3 attempts to pass the state exam. We have a nearly 100% pass rate on the 3 attempt total, but we have 100% pass rates on the first attempt quite frequently. You'll also see that licensing percentage. Talking to Mr. Bogle, our director from the Law Enforcement Academy, nearly 100% of our students have basically locked in a job before they've exited the program. And it's not uncommon for the student to receive their badge from the agency with their pinning ceremony with our program. We don't report the federal licensed officers, and we don't report our students who travel out of state. And so again, we have a nearly 100% placement rate, but in reporting within Texas, those numbers are a little bit lower. But it's been great work. The Law Enforcement Academy maintained face-to-face classes throughout the pandemic, and you see the impact there. Also, you'll notice in that class 88, we have a small cohort there. And that just draws attention to the fact that they'd worked with students who had fallen behind during the pandemic, maybe the class had to shut down for basically quarantine, or students fell behind for the same reason. They worked with students, built other cohorts, extended the program for them. They work one-on-one with students to recover them back into the program. And so again, it's those high numbers that they've been able to maintain through the pandemic and that success rate and job placement rate that I wanted to highlight here. With our Advanced Technology Center, again, you'll notice across the top the enrollment numbers. Now here, a little bit different. This is a set of credit programs, and so we offer the Associate of Applied Science, also level 1 and level 2 certificates. But you'll notice the fall numbers are nearly back to fall 19 numbers here. Dr. Amaya's Office of Registrars has been letting us know just almost daily that if we can open up space, they have students waiting. So this is following the overall trend in the national economy, where we're seeing this shift to career and technical training. And it's where the jobs are opening up, and we're seeing the impact there. Also, just want to highlight the number of awards, the 20 to 21 academic year, the 21 to 22 academic year. A little bit of a drop in awards in the 21 to 22 year, but that also follows the lag in enrollment. Oh, Mr. Uxer.
You mentioned that, do you have people waiting if you could open up more classes?
I believe,
What is the restriction? Instruction space, caliber certificates, trustees don't want to do it, or what?
not at all, not at all. We had locked in some space, so we had anticipated starting an HVAC partnership with San Elizario School District. Their student cohort fell through at the very end, and so we had blocked off a time period there. We should be able to recover and open up something a little later in the school year.
You mentioned that Dr. Maya says, hey, you have students waiting.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you have students waiting, what's this? Just, it's an organizational thing that you just can't, I mean, it's the last minute they come in and we just can't open up another one that quick?
We've kind of maxed out instructor workloads at the moment, and then space.
If we had more instructors, you could do more?
A little bit more space as well. Some of it was initially alleviated just by reducing the social distancing. So as that went away, we were able to open up. But our equipment and our space is only built out to accommodate 12 to 15 students, depending on the program. And so we start hitting those caps pretty quickly.
Okay, I understand.
And it's also the nature of how we have the program essentially scheduled out. About every 4 to 5 weeks, we're starting a new set of courses, and so these run in 4-hour blocks. And so our space is utilized pretty much 100% throughout the week. So it's honestly a mixture of everything. But we are working on that. Absolutely, we don't want a long waiting list and students backed up. One of the things that's contributed to this additional set of students and the increased enrollment in our ATC is the work of Dr. Valerio, who's our dean for the Advanced Technology Center. She went after over $1 million Department of Labor grant. This is the Job Corps Scholars Grant. And actually, I should just make a blanket thank you to Dr. Moe, Dr. Gross, and the EPCC Foundation, Bob Elliott in the grants office, because you're going to see grant after grant in the presentation, and the amount of work that they put into supporting our work is commendable, and I can't thank them enough for what they do. But this Department of Labor Job Corps Scholars Grant supports 80 students in each cohort. At the time I put the presentation together, we were at 78. We should have hit our 80 student goal as of today. They were still recruiting 4 students last week. So we probably have actually surpassed our 80 student goal. But in addition to supplying financial assistance for tuition and books and tools are always an important thing with these programs, and the students are able to leave with those tools in hand to take them with them onto employment. It's the extra support. So there's 4 advisors and a program manager also supporting the grant. And so this is more than just program advising or which class to take. It's life skills, it's helping them with assistance on basic needs, housing, food security. It's also employment assistance and getting them ready for interviews, writing resumes. And so this is a very holistic approach to supporting these students and moving them from the program into employment. And that's what makes us very unique. This is actually a pilot program and pilot grant for the Department of Labor. And so great work there from Dr. Valerio. Also, can't thank Marathon Oil enough. They've been very generous. Our second donation from Marathon Oil of over $270,000 to support our welding program, buying equipment for EPCC, but also building this partnership with Riverside High School and providing welding equipment for their program there. This is on top of a previous grant from Marathon Oil to buy welding equipment, but also machining equipment as well. And so supporting all of our major programs, diesel, electrical, HVAC, machining, our manufacturing technology and welding technology programs. On our health and fitness side, Ms. Stiles, our director, has been busy expanding our program. Again, as I've been highlighting enrollments and completion numbers, you'll see that on the upper left. So out of cohorts of 22, 33, 54, and 97 students across nail, massage, nursing assistant, and phlebotomy, they've again seen completions from 21 of 22, 31 of 33, 54. So right now, their average completion rate is about 88% to 100%, depending on the program. So it's phenomenal work that our faculty are doing and advising, sticking with their students and working with them through the pandemic. You'll also see that throughout the year, pretty much every Saturday and throughout the evenings, we're offering basic life support classes, CPR, first aid classes. The one listed as industry is grant supported, and so we're providing that for area of employers. And then you'll also see the work that Ms. Stiles, also supported by Dean Hajar at our Rio Grande campus, working with our Socorro Independent School District and Isleta Independent School District partners, and bringing our programs into the high schools. And so you'll see phlebotomy and EKG, the patient care technician, which I'll talk a little bit about in a little bit as well, and working on a non-credit EMT to be extended into the high schools. And so always building something new. And then for some of our maybe foundational programs within the division, our Small Business Development Center and our Contract Opportunities Center. So Joe Ferguson's our director for our SBDC. We're funded through UTSA. So they serve an area from San Antonio, south to the border, and west to El Paso. So it's a large service district. We have a seat on the advisory board to the UTSA SBDC. Very generous funding through there, but it's also matched by the college in terms of staff and space within the college. This program's been running for well over 2 decades. You'll see just in the last year the economic impact that this has in our area. Over 404 new clients brought into the SBDC, our own El Paso office, plus a total of 646 total clients. We have a lot of returning clients who are looking to expand their businesses, add on. And so you'll see 48 new small businesses created, 42 existing businesses expanded, over $16 million brought into the economy, and over 285 new jobs created. This bottom line is actually from the San Antonio office of UTSA based on the statewide numbers, but essentially for every dollar invested in the small business development centers, they're returning over $7 in state and local taxes paid through their clients and their employees. And so tremendous impact statewide on all of this. And on top of business advising, the SBDC holds trainings throughout the year, so pretty much just about every evening you can go over to B Building here at the Administrative Service Center, and there's a QuickBooks or social media or tax class that's going on. And so a very busy part of the division, as is our Contract Opportunity Center. I am now hitting the wrong button. There we go. This is headed up by Pablo Armendariz, and the running joke is Mr. Ferguson brings them in the door, creates the business, and then hands them off to Mr. Armendariz, who then lands them a number of contracts with local, state, and federal agencies. And that's essentially what the Contract Opportunities Center, or PTAC, it's a procurement technical assistance center. I've been practicing how to say procurement. But here again, it's counseling established businesses. So businesses that have been in operation for 3 years or longer qualify. They've brought in 198 clients in the past year with over $360 million in contracts awarded. And you'll see a breakdown there in the chart in the lower right. but just tremendous work, another 7,747 jobs in the region because of their work. And again, in operation for well over 2 decades. And then highlighting some of our programs and outreach into the community. So a person who needs absolutely no introduction in the college, Miss Mary Yanez, starting her 50th year with the college. One of the most visible outreach efforts is her EPCC TV show, Mature Living, which she started in 1991 and has been running continuously. It is just absolutely amazing. But over 165 free courses offered, still serving over 1,000 students even through the pandemic. And we're very excited this year. We've got the return of our in-person events, so very popular Grandparents' Day. This has been running for 15 years. So very happy to have this back. Navidad on the Border, also ever popular Love Conference in February, and a new event this year, Mr. Haggerty. And something very new this year. We have a partnership with the El Paso International Museum of Art, and they're going to host a senior art exhibit in April. So very excited about that, and very excited on today's agenda, you have a grant award or a donation award from Humana. They are offering $8,000 to support Grandparents' Day and our other live events. So it's a very generous award, and it's been a great partnership with Humana. So I want to point them out and all the great work we do with United Healthcare. Ms. Yanez has been working with Ambrosio Guillen State Veterans Home to work on some classes that they would like to offer. And then also Ms. Yanez has been working with UTEP on some research and some courses to be offered throughout the region for technology training for seniors. And this is also leading to a partnership with the city of Clint to offer some technology classes, how to use your cell phone, social media, to make sure our seniors are aware and proficient in new technologies, but also aware of cybersecurity best practices. And so a lot of great work there. And then on the personal enrichment side, I want to highlight our Children's College. So our Director of Personal Enrichment, CE Business, and the Children's College, Ms. Leticia Guerra, but also our manager, Melissa Sanchez. So already we've seen this return in enrollment for our Children's College. So through that kind of last part of the August quarter into fall, 220 students, 300 seats already filled. Tremendous focus on STEM offerings, so becoming very popular, all things computer and coding. Also see, I kind of snuck it in there, it's more on the personal enrichment side, but one of our newer offerings on drones. And then also our partners, our third-party vendors, Young Rembrandt, Snapology, and Black Rocket. I wanted to bring them up because you're going to see them all the time on our tuition, our tuition adjustments in the agendas. And so we're able to offer expanded courses through them, either as a third-party vendor or sometimes we offer the course using their curriculum. But it's done wonders for expanding the types of courses that we can bring. Under our Law Enforcement Academy and at our Mission Del Paso campus, we have our Risk Management Institute. Ceci Morrow is our coordinator, but Barry Bogle, again, our director. This has been operating under 2 major grants since 2015. So very generous donations from Texas Mutual. They've been giving us a $100,000 annual award. You see a total of $800,000 going back to 2015. This is also in conjunction with Department of Labor Susan Harwood Safety Training Grant Awards. And so the idea of the Risk Management Institute is they're providing safety training to area of employers. And so reducing risk, reducing insurance costs over time. The bulk of the training, you'll see the very long list that I edited down for you. On the right there, OSHA 10 and 30 are the 2 most asked for courses there, but CPR, first aid. You'll also see the person in the harness who, again, is not being harmed. And You'll also see, hopefully upcoming soon, Ms. Maurer has just applied for another Susan Harwood grant, safety training for confined spaces. So we're hoping to hear back on that very soon and being able to bring you another award to expand that training. But you'll see over 4,000 local employees trained through that. And from the photos also, you notice most of this training is taken onto the job site. And so our instructors, our programs are always traveling. And then our Center for Corporate and Workforce Training, also in conjunction with our workforce strategic initiatives. Essentially, this is our employer outreach arm. We provide customized training, sometimes paid for through the employer, sometimes paid for through grants. I put up a couple of the more recent examples there for the Isleta del Sur Pueblo. So Dr. Pagel at Valle Verde brought them to us. We were able to work with our fire tech program and build some continuing ed courses to get 6 of the firefighters certified in fire inspections. And so a needed area for them. Also, the city of Socorro, this just happened over the weekend. We did an 8-hour workshop. I've been told the 22 employees grew as word spread throughout their city offices that the training was ongoing, but basic customer service skills training. And so a lot of what we do is we partner up with area agencies, with our cities in the area, and try to provide this training. Also, our pre-apprenticeship logistics pilot grant kicked off over the summer. So we had our first cohort, started small at 3 students, but we're recruiting our next, but $193,000 award. And then it's providing micro-credentials, so certified logistics assistant and certified logistics technician, supporting our warehousing and other logistics offices throughout the community. And then, as I mentioned, workforce strategic initiatives, our director, Dr. Carmen Aguilera-Gerner. So we closed out 3 major Texas Workforce Commission grants over this past year. So over $1 million in Texas Workforce Commission Skills Development Fund grants. This is all for upskilling local workforce. And the benefit to the employer, they're able to onboard and get their employees trained. The benefit to the employee is there's the upskilling, but also the employer commits to increasing wages for the employer after the training's completed. The state provides up to $2,000 per year per employee in training, and we essentially provide customized training in anything the employer decides. So we go through our workforce education manual and find that, and then as AVP Flores is always happy to hear, there are indirect monies recouped from these grants as well. So there's always that 15% back to the college. We do earn our keep. Much of our area is self-supporting, and it also makes us a little different from the rest of the college. Upcoming, so on today's agenda, you have 2 new grants, Southwest Venture Plastics. This is one of those TWC Skills Development Fund grants. And then also a general shell grant. So sometimes the TWC will award us money up front. That expedites the process of bringing in the next employer and providing them some funding without having to identify the employer or the training in advance like the normal route for this SDF. We're also in talks in various stages of completion with 7 other local employers, including the Hospitals of Providence. They're coming back for a second round of grants. The first time around, we were able to provide funding to get a number of their nurses' exams and the licensing exams paid for. So they were very, very appreciative that was, that essentially debt burden was taken off of their shoulders. So also under Dr. Carmen's area, we have an apprenticeship program, so funded by a variety of grants, but the foundation grant there is the Chapter 133 grant. And so we just received word, we've been awarded that again for the upcoming year. And here, essentially over $500,000 in grants over the past year, over 800 apprentices. For these apprentices, they're working on the job, they're taking courses through their apprenticeship partner, and they're earning a living wage while doing this. So a very important program. It supports construction, essentially all forms of trades, electrical, plumbing, construction are our major ones there. And then looking toward the future, so in our CE Health areas, this patient care technician certificate is really an umbrella certificate. The industry is moving away from hiring individuals who are just certified in nursing assistant or certified in phlebotomy. And so this patient care technician certificate is an umbrella. A student will have earned the certificates in EKG, the phlebotomy, and nursing assistant, plus taken a capstone course in patient care technician. And so this increases the students' marketability and their starting wages once they are employed. And so the EKG is coming in as part of that. We're offering a massage therapy class in Spanish, so increasing there. Also starting a donor phlebotomy technician course. And so this is something new for the region. There really isn't another program around us, and this has been in partnership with Vitalent. So students coming out of this, beyond the basic phlebotomy technician certificate, can also work in blood donor facilities, but also in dialysis clinics. And so that's leading us to new partnerships with Vitalent, with William Beaumont for our clinicals. Also, University Medical Center is going to allow our students to shadow their dialysis operations there. Auto collision's not necessarily new, but the self-sufficiency grant from Texas Workforce Commission of $37,000 is going to start a new cohort in fall, so we're recruiting there. And then finally, our outreach efforts are something we're really focusing on over the next year. We're always looking to bring in those new students. So we invest about $85,000 a year in printing a full registration guide and mailing it out. Because of increased costs, we're not able to reach every zip code and every household within the zip code. And so we're working with our vendor, PDX Publishing, to try to maybe rethink what we mail out and how frequently. We want to have something that's maybe a little more visually appealing, a little more streamlined, and something that we can offer more frequently, keep us in people's minds, and create a better return on investment there, reach all of our zip codes in the area. Social media presence, so all of the flyers that have been part of the presentation essentially have gone out over the college's social media, and we're seeing increasing that push there, trying to reach a larger audience. And I know every agenda we have new continuing education tuition rates for you to review and approve. We're always assessing how we do that. As our enrollments are increasing, hopefully we're going to be able to go back and assess these tuition rates downward. So we are self-supporting, we do have to pay for ourselves, and so there's a little bit of an art form to where we place the tuition rates. And it's always based on the number of students, a minimum number of students that we can have to let a course make. But the tuition rates we bring to you are pretty formulaic. There is an instructor cost per contact hour and a number of contact hours. There's AVP Flores' indirect cost and occasionally a 6% TPEG. And I'm getting a look. And essentially, sometimes there's some use fees from the college and essentially supplies fees that get built into that. But essentially, we offer these courses pretty much at cost. We build in a little bit of cushion in case a student backs out, and we're still able to make ends meet. But because so much of our customized training also has to have a tuition rate attached to it, pretty much every month we're bringing you some sort of course and tuition rate to consider because we're always building out new courses. So with that, that concludes everything, even though I don't think I was anywhere near as brief as I'd hoped to be. But thank you, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Pretty thorough.
I just wanted to highlight all the great
We
work.
do anything with plasma centers?
With the Platypus Center?
Plasma? You're saying blood, but
Vitalent. With the other, we haven't partnered yet, no.
There's big money in that. They're paying like $1,000 to give them plasma.
But we're hoping with this donor phlebotomy program, that's exactly where we can send our students for employment. So,
Yeah,
so absolutely.
I didn't see it in the presentation, so.
No, we don't have any formal partnerships yet, but that's exactly where the donor phlebotomy is going to train our students to go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item 1.9, Board of Trustees Business. Item 1.9.1, discussion and take possible action regarding the resolution authorizing the delegation of certain authority to Dr. William Serrata, College President, regarding the COVID-19 pandemic.
What does it look like, Doc?
So in my report, Chair, I'll reference where we are with regards to COVID. The numbers continue. Fortunately, after about 4 weeks of an upward trajectory, we're finally starting to see numbers come down.
Okay, do I hear a motion? Does anybody have a problem with continuing to?
No action and just keep it the same.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we're hit a point maybe where we can withdraw the order. If we recall, we put this on the agenda, I guess at the height when we weren't meeting as frequently, we were online and we weren't in person. So maybe, I mean, my opinion is that maybe this would be the opportunity to withdraw it. We can always revisit it or something at a later time, but that way we don't see it standing on the agenda each month. So I would make a motion. Judge?
Okay.
So my motion is to withdraw the delegation of authority to Dr. Serrata regarding COVID-19 pandemic.
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye?
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye. And 1.9.2 through 1.9.6 we'll take after executive session.
Yes, sir. Item 1.9.7, presentation by legal counsel of draft illustrative plan redistricting the Board of Trustee districts based on recently issued 2020 census data.
Good evening, Chair Haggerty, Dr. Serrata, board members. It's good to see you again. I am Gunnar Sequist, and I am here tonight to continue the redistricting process. Do we have my PowerPoint?
Hold on.
If not, we can get Cameron to bring it up as well. Cameron, can you grab the PowerPoint for us, please? While he is doing that, I'll give just a little bit of background. We are here for the redistricting process for the College Board of Trustees single-member districts. We're doing this process after the release of the most recent decennial census data, which lets us know what the population numbers are for each of the trustee districts. And so just by way of background for anybody who didn't catch my earlier presentation to you, either online or in the audience, the redistricting that we're doing relates only to the Board of Trustee districts. So it doesn't have anything to do with campuses or attendance zones or anything like that. It's just the districts from which the College Board trustees are elected. And what the United States Constitution tells us, pursuant to the one person, one vote requirement under the 14th Amendment, is that each of those districts have to be roughly proportional. And what that means is that overall, across the districts, from the single-member districts, we have to have a population difference that is no more than 10% between the most populous district and the least populous district. And so we got the 2020 census data for the district, and I think as I showed you, and I'll show you again when our slides come up, the numbers that came out for the El Paso Community College Board as it currently exists are about 30%, which puts you above that 10% threshold. It means that we do have to rebalance our trustee districts. And so, okay, great. Thanks, Cameron. And if you'll go ahead and advance the slide. Okay. And this is the slide with the information I just gave you. Again, we're trying to draw approximately equal populations across the single-member trustee districts with a total deviation between the most populous and least populous that is less than 10%. Next slide, if you would, Cameron. Of course, this is our example slide. I know the board has already seen this, but for anybody in the audience, the way we look at this, if we have our hypothetical district here that has 4 single member, of course, El Paso has 7 community college, but assuming we had 4, we would look at the ideal district, which is if you took the total population and divided it equally. In reality, just based on where people live, you're not able to do that, but that would give us the ideal district. We then take the difference in each of the districts based on that 2020 census data, and that gives us the difference of the existing districts from the ideal. And then we'll take the greatest difference above and the greatest difference below, add those together, and take the difference, and that gives us our total deviation. So here, if we had 10% above is our highest, 20% below the ideal is our lowest, that would give us a total overall deviation of 30%. And again, that's above our 10%. We'd have to redistrict. Cameron, give us the next slide, if you would, please, sir.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So on the deviation, when you're talking about the 30%, you mean that's of each district, or is it of each individual district?
It is actually across all of the districts.
Okay.
So we can't have more than 10% total deviation across from the most populous to the least populous. That gives us that 10%. And so there's not any specific requirement between individual districts. As long as that overall deviation is less than 10%, then you're in compliance with the one person, one vote rule. And so this is the current map of the existing trustee districts. And again, we have 7 districts. And the one thing I'll point out here, as I did at our last meeting, is you do have one portion of District 3 there that sits between the current District 4 and 5 that's actually cut off in the current map. And so as we go through the redistricting process, there's a non-contiguity there. And so we'll be fixing that to make sure that that portion is contiguous in whatever map the college district ultimately adopts. And Cameron, if you will give us the next slide. Just by way of background, these are the population numbers for the existing districts based on the 2020 census information that we had. And what we see when we look at these districts is that districts 1 and 2 are actually pretty close to the ideal size, and so really don't have to be adjusted. But what we see is that districts 3 and 7 over the past 10 years, since the last census was taken, have gotten overpopulated. And then we have districts 4, 5, and 6 that are underpopulated compared to the ideal. And so for purposes of the college districts redistricting, it's really an exercise in moving population out of 6 and 7 and then balancing those across 3 and 7, and then balancing that population across 4, 5, and 6 to get the overall deviation under 10%. Okay, Cameron, if you will advance the slide again. Okay, this is another population measure. This is the voting age population. Next slide, Cameron. Okay, what we're here tonight to do is, as I mentioned to you at our last meeting, what our firm does initially is prepares sort of a sample or example plan. And what our goal in doing this is basically just to give the board an idea of what changes could be made to get the district back into balance. Of course, the ultimate map will come from this board with input from the public, but this is just one example that we were able to draw. And a couple of our goals in drawing this particular plan, in addition to complying with the criteria that you adopted last time, was basically just to try to get the district into compliance, making as few changes as possible. And in making this plan, we drew using whole election precincts so that we didn't move anything that was smaller than an election precinct. That's helpful because it keeps people in the same election precinct that they're used to, avoids voter confusion that way. And in doing that, we were able to get the plan in balance with a total deviation of around 4%, moving about 14 precincts across the district. And what I'll do is I'll go through and just kind of show you where some of those changes are on this plan. And then after we get a chance to look at this plan, I think the next items on the board's agenda are to consider what type of public input process the board would like to see, and then move forward with that process. So if we look at our next slide. Okay. This shows, again, trustee districts 1 and 2, I haven't included here because they're already in a good size. They don't really have to be changed. So in our plan, again, to make this the easiest, to get into compliance the easiest way we can, we didn't actually adjust anything in in trustee districts 1 or 2. So starting in trustee district 3, we made just a few changes. And the primary changes that we made, again, trustee district 3 was one of your heavier overpopulated districts. And so one of the ways that we moved some of the population out of 3 was to cut off that contiguity by taking that area in 3 that was cut off before, and it's shown, and I apologize, on the big screen, the numbers are not as clear. Hopefully you all are able to see them on your screens in front of you. But voting precincts 82, 132, 133, and 137. And that's basically that whole area that was non-contiguous before, that was a part of 3. If you just move that into 4, it, 1, reduces that population in 3. It also cures that problem with your contiguity. And so we made that change in this map. And the only other small change we made was to balance out that changes. We took a little bit of the area in 3 and put it into 5 to balance that out. And that was just one voting precinct. It's voting precinct number 90. And it is right kind of in between 3 and 5. It's where there's a little dip there. The nice thing about that is not only did it balance your population, but it also gives you a straight line and cleans up your boundary a little bit along the top or between District 5 and District 3. Again, it's just a suggested revision, but that was one that made sense from our standpoint.
Excuse me, I have just real quick question. You talk about moving precincts.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm not familiar. Were the precincts adjusted from the previous? So I mean, if you move in precinct 1, okay, and then all of a sudden precinct 1 is not the same now as the precinct was a year ago, then you know we're really moving people on a secondary basis. So if the precincts haven't changed from the 10 years ago, and now same precinct boundaries and everything else, fine. But if the precincts are different, then we're really moving people, not just on precinct basis.
Well, and that is possible. The county does redraw election precincts somewhat when it does its redistricting process, which it would have completed last fall. We are using the current precincts that are drawn by the county. And so I have not gone and looked specifically at where they might have changed precincts, particularly in the ones that we're talking about moving here. But for purposes of our building blocks and to keep the college district consistent with what the county voting election precincts are doing, we're using the updated election precinct, or the most current election precincts from the county to do this process.
But this doesn't reflect the difference in the actual definition of a precinct from previously to now.
That is correct. There could very well be some changes from the precincts as they existed the last time you guys redrew in 2011 to where they are today.
Okay.
And we have not taken account for that in this map, just because we're using the current precincts. Are there any other questions about 3, or I'll move on to 4? Okay, Cameron, if you will advance the slide for us there. And actually, 4 is really, essentially takes on the area of 3 that we just talked about. So basically, it's the same thing that we just looked at. So let's look, Cameron, at the next slide at Trustee District 5. And Trustee District 5 does not change substantially either. It just takes on that one little portion of 3 that is the current election precinct 90. All right. Let's look. Sorry, was there a question? Oh, okay. Can we look at number 6, please? Okay, and here we do see a little bit more change. 6 gave a little population to 5 in order to balance out. And so the areas that we see that, and I apologize, I should have specified before we started, the bold red lines that you see on the map here, those show you the existing districts. So those are what we call the benchmark lines. And then where you see color shading coming across those lines is where the change has been made. And so here between 5 and 6, 6 gives off a little bit of population in terms of voting precincts number 107, 117, and 118. So that's a move from 6 to 5. And again, that balances the population, and it also will give you a little bit cleaner line just along the top, the northern portion of 6 and the southern portion of 5 for that boundary. We also, because 6 was your, because 7 is your heavy precinct, or your heavy district, 7 gives some population to 6, and that's going to balance out that overpopulation that we had in 7. And so what you see for that is actually on the right side of the screen there, where you get that block on the right side of the red line, which moves from 7 into 6, balancing that population. And just for reference, the specific precincts that move encompasses are 212, 200, 201, and 203. And so Cameron, if you can move us forward about 2 slides, please. Because that slide just shows 7 again. And so if you make those changes, it gives us an overall deviation of 4.13%. Obviously, that's a good proportion in terms of the one person, one vote, well below that 10%. Gives you generally a good balance across each of the individual districts as well. Preserves the same voting age population demographics that you had in your original map. And so that was the suggestion that we have. Again, this is just a sample. It's a starting point for the board to work from or for the board to seek public input on. What you ultimately draw may be akin to this. It may be totally different. That's going to be a decision ultimately for the board to make. In terms of the process going forward, I know we have an item coming up as to how the board would like to conduct public input. We are certainly happy to facilitate that, including any meetings or drawing sessions the board feels are appropriate. The ultimate goal, of course, is to get a plan that the board likes that can be put out for a final public hearing so that we can take public comment and then move towards, hopefully with 1 or 2 alternatives, move towards an adoption by the board. And so that process will get you to adopting a new map, getting everything in balance, and then we will update the county elections office with the map that's adopted so that they can then facilitate and make sure that your next set of elections run smoothly.
Remind me again, when does this have to be done by?
Just by January.
By January.
And that is for the candidate filing period for your May election.
Did we read in the other items in terms of so we have the presentation, there's 2 other items in terms of the discussion and the possible action, and then the third one is to set the public hearing date so that we can talk about those?
Go ahead. Would you like me to read them all contiguously?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, item 1.9.8, discussion and possible action of a draft plan by the board and any amendments if necessary to the draft plan prior to public input. Item 1.9.9, discuss and set public hearing date or dates for the purpose of receiving public comment with regard to the redrawing of trustee district boundaries. And 1.9.10, discussion and possible action on a resolution appointing a redistricting committee to prepare 1 or more redistricting plans to be considered by the Board of Trustees.
Do we need a motion to accept those?
Maybe a little discussion, Judge, what we can have. So we did have a presentation at our special meeting, I believe, last month regarding the redistricting plan. You did a great job of outlining the law, what we're required to follow, what we're no longer required to follow in terms of the pre-clearance measures, which is a good thing, saves a lot of time. But one of the items that we still had left to talk about, I think, as a board, and so I'm just interested in hearing from everybody's perspective, it was very helpful to have the map out here. I think one of the things from my perspective that would also be helpful to include in the map are maybe some points of interest. And so when I say points of interest, what I'm talking about is like maybe where each of the campuses are in each of the districts, right? I think that would be helpful. I think also perhaps other noted sites, maybe like the airport or, you know, some of the major parks, just some of the major community areas. I think that's helpful for members of the public to see where each of the trustee sites or districts rather are. And then we also went into the discussion, Judge, I think in terms of how we would like to incorporate the public comment portion of it. One of the issues that I felt for myself strongly about is really taking the elected official out of drawing the map. I don't, myself, in my opinion, don't want to influence that or to be able to have a direct say. Ultimately, the law requires the Board of Trustees to approve the map, so anything that would come before us, if we decide to go before, or decide to take this on the road and have this open up to public comment and feedback, would be a recommendation, right? But maybe there could potentially be, I think, you know, a desire by the board to still adopt that and to take that into consideration. So from my point of view, I would like to see a concerted effort in terms of taking this to the public, maybe not having all the meetings here, for example, but really having some meetings perhaps at each of the campuses to invite the public, you know, after work or on the weekends, because we know people work. And even then, it's still hard for people to make it, and really making that effort. So I guess one of the questions to get, so my point of view, just to get to my point, is that I want a public and a really meaningful public input and process to do that. However, to do that, I need to know from staff, from Dr. Serrata and I don't know who else would comment, what resources that we can do to make sure that that happens. Of course, we want to make sure that we are fiscally responsible. We want to be mindful of attorney time and effort to do that, but we also need to, you know, bear in mind, I think this process happens, you know, every 10 years, and we want to do it right. And I think really, quite frankly, the policy and where we are right now should be that we elicit that public input and take us away, and when I say us, elected officials, away from really having that direct hand in the process. That's my feeling. I don't know what anybody else feels.
Is that pretty much the way the county did it? I mean, would it be possible to follow something at like the same model as what the county did? That way it's just, since y'all are already familiar with that process, just follow the same way?
I don't know exactly how the county did it. I don't know if they had a drawing committee that they used,
They had a
and then
committee,
probably,
but I think they started a lot quicker. We only have 3 months.
That-
This has to be done. December's gonna be out, because nobody's gonna be here for December.
County did it in 1 month, in about a month and a
With
half.
those- with
Yes,
those-
last
with that
fall.
committee?
Yes, with the committee. So the committee was composed of appointees by each of the members of the Commissioners
Right.
Court. They applied, there was an application process, but it went pretty quickly. So they had to do it within a month and a half. I think we started early September. They adopted their maps presented their maps to the Commissioners Court for the final approval
Yeah,
in
16
mid-October.
maps.
It was very quick, but the policies are there in terms of, you know, what to look for, the deviations. They being the committee members, used an online tool, can't recall what it was off the top of my head, to draw their own maps, and they did. And so we had great participation, quite frankly, from members of our community, veterans. We had representatives from the Northeast, East Side, Lower Valley. The meetings were held in community centers in the Lower Valley, East Side, and some other sites, just to ensure that there was participation. And then I think one of the other things to ensure that it was a meaningful process was that they allowed it to be video conference, so that's where the resources come in. People who wanted to could comment online, do video conference, or call in as well to look at the maps, and then that way it ensured that there was just that process that was out there. But it was very quick. It was
They
very
could
quick.
submit maps if they wanted to.
Right, and they submitted maps. So the way that they did it is that each of the committee members, they had their criteria, their policy that they had to follow, and it's all public information on the county's website. So that's, I think, a good template and model. I think the city followed a similar format as well. And then each of the committee members would present their own maps, and then as a committee, they would have a consensus as to which ones, the top, I think what the policy provided was they would present to the Commissioners Court the top 2 maps that garnered the most, I guess, favor, and the top 2 maps that they presented had the least deviation amongst each of the Commissioners Court precincts, but they also had to adopt the JP Constable precincts as well. And then they would present it to the court, and the court ended up adopting the top maps for each of them. They didn't change anything. They were very much hands-off in the process.
Do you want to do the same thing, that each trustee appoint someone from their area to be a representative?
I think we could do that.
I think it would be.
Thank you.
I think we could do that. There's a couple ways you could do it, right? There's an application process, or we could just make a nomination of whoever we think would be good to be of service to that board, and then they make that commitment to attend the meetings and follow the policies and follow those rules, and really just make that commitment to do the presentations. And like I said, the people that did participate were very engaged. You had representatives from the League of Women Voters, which is a nonpartisan organization, but they were very familiar with maps. I think you had individuals, I don't know necessarily if they were appointed to the committee, but they attended the meetings and gave their input. Folks from the Fair Maps organization were also part of it, but I think each one of us would know and engage with community members that would be, I think, excellent committee members, and could really keep it to them to make that decision of how they would like to see their representation play out.
I think they had to appoint a chairman, though. They had to, was the commissioners appointed as the chairman?
No, the committee members appointed the chairperson on their
We voted
their
amongst
own.
each other.
So we'll
Yeah.
have a total of 8?
Yeah. No, it was a total, if it was 7, it would be 7, and then amongst the 7, they would appoint their chair.
Okay, out of the 7.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. I like that idea.
Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say just 2 things about that. The first is, for anybody who's watching who wants to submit their own plan using an online tool, you don't have to be on the committee to do that. Some of the guidelines that we adopted here allow for the public to do that generally. So I just don't want anybody to feel like they have to be on a committee to do that. We welcome that from the public. And then the only other thing I would say is, for purposes of the actual committee meetings, it is going to be easier if we have our GIS person conduct those as opposed to using online tools, because the software doesn't always match up. And so my recommendation would be for the board to decide kind of on a set number of meetings that you all think are appropriate to give the committee the time to do this work, but so that there is also kind of a deadline to get it done by, so that it is a defined period of time. And then we can work with that to get those meetings facilitated and have those options drawn up for you.
I think you should have 7 meetings, 1 in each district.
Okay.
Yeah, he can do it enough time. You got 3 months. You can do 2 a month. Maybe 3, work a 3rd one in there.
If whoever we put in there has the time to put.
You got 3 months.
Well, and there's kind of 2 ways you can go there too. I mean, you can use the committee on that sort of truncated process to get the alternatives that they put out, and then do individual meetings in each of the districts on those maps where you get comments on those. Or I guess what I heard Ms. Sanchez talking about was the committee kind of drew with the public there as well, which is also doable. It's just a little bit maybe more challenging to get public comment while the committee is doing its work, as opposed to getting a product and then getting comment on that to be incorporated after the fact. But either one we can facilitate.
If we're gonna have a meeting, I think you should have 1 in each district, so we don't have any feedback saying, well, how come you didn't do it in my district?
Okay.
So can I try a motion, Judge? And let's see,
Sure.
I might need some help, so where I'm filling in where you guys need to fill in the gaps, because I think where I need to hear is just in terms of the resources that can be devoted, because we definitely need, I think, community college staff to assist in this effort. It'll be an effort. So my motion would be to move forward in establishing a citizen-led committee to offer recommendations to the Community College Board of Trustees on the redistricting maps for each of the districts of the college, to follow the guidelines and policies that we have adopted at our last meeting. That would be my motion, to include the setting of regularly scheduled meetings. The committee has regularly scheduled meetings at each of the district sites, so from District 1 through District 7, that they have each of their community meetings there, that these meetings allow for public comment and participation, and that they be assisted with the appropriate staff support, college staff support, legal support services as well, and that a final map be presented. Mr. Ortega, help me out. When do you guys want this back before?
At the end of November.
Before,
Meeting, so that's going to take a significant amount of time, I think.
exactly.
So probably by the time that you have your next board meeting, I don't know if that's going to be too ambitious, but it kind of depends on the resources and the amount of meetings that you're going to have, I think.
Okay. So then, should I amend my motion then to allow for you all to develop a plan on what can be feasible so that the final maps can be adopted, but with the concept of the committee? I mean, what I'm hearing from the board, maybe I'm not, I don't know, you all tell me. But what I'm hearing is that there's at least consensus, there may be consensus to move forward with a committee, right? A citizen-led committee. We would like as much public input as possible, to have it as much as possible at sites that are available to the public. But for you all then, for staff then, and legal counsel to develop a plan on how you all are going to accomplish that, with that vision and that goal in mind, so that we can adopt those final maps by the deadline that we're supposed to.
Well, my question,
Second the motion.
well, I have a discussion.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure that, because you're going to have 5 or 6 people from Northeast, you might have 5 or 6 people from the West Side. How are we going to determine who picks the person from each district?
We each individually pick one.
Okay. So in other words, you guys are going to collect the names, you're going to give us a list of the people in our districts, and we pick one of those. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
No, you choose.
yeah, I think you'll just, unless we're going to do an application process, I think it's just, you
Well, the
know,
only reason I don't like that idea about me picking my own, because they're going to say, well, you picked this guy because he's your buddy or whatever. I just want to, I think to be fair, that you all collect these names and give us the names, and we get to, because I don't know anybody from the League of Women Voters. That would be a good group to be on the committee. So I just need to know what kind of idea. I don't mind picking some, I can go out and I can ask who wants to be on this committee. I can get 4 or 5 people, but I just don't want any feedback on us saying, well, Haggerty, you picked this guy because he's in Haggerty's pocket or something. You know what I mean? That's where I'm coming from.
Well, I think we, I don't know, that's why I'm asking for y'all's feedback, because we're going to need some help on this, right? We're going to need staff support on, like, how are we going to get there? We're mindful of the time frame. I think it could be done. It's ambitious, but it definitely could be done. I think as trustees, what we could do is encourage individuals to apply, right? To apply. We have no input. We just tell individuals to apply to whoever the point person is that you all select.
Put all their names in a hat and we pick one
And pick one, or just ensure that there's maybe at least one representative from each of our precincts. Or it doesn't have to be that way. It could be just who, we might have a difficult time, quite frankly, by getting individuals to want to apply to the committee. But
if we appoint them, then we're still stuck in the situation that we open ourselves to the perception of gerrymandering, that I put someone and I tell that person, hey, I want you to put, I want this particular section, and, we still.
I want to make it to
Still
where
the same
we don't
issue.
have any kind of feedback saying, okay, you guys pick these guys because you're.
well, I think we could do that if you have the adoption of the policy. I know that's not perhaps enough, but, we know in other circumstances, maybe sometimes that's not always enough. But that we have a policy where it makes clear that there is no communication between whoever that appointee is with the elected officials. I mean, that process is out, and I think we have to make that commitment as the trustees to remove ourselves from that, that process and leave it to the staff to listen to what what the information is, what that criteria is, and then go with it. But after that, after their appointments, I mean, that's it. We're done. We're out of that process until the time they present.
I personally don't have any problem with this, but what I would like to know is that to do something like this, it needs to be funded. And not only with personnel and costs, legal, it's gonna cost, what are we gonna do? And where will this come out of the budget? I'd like to have an estimate of dollars and personnel time. Dr. Serrato, which people, how are we gonna support it? How are we gonna do it? How much is it gonna cost?
So I can respond to the individual staff members that we would utilize. Obviously, we're going to utilize several of Mr. Fernandez's staff, those individuals that are broadcasting this particular board meeting now. We will have them. I would suggest to the board that we hold these at our 6 sites. We have 6 sites across the county of El Paso. Some of those will overlap, so we'll have to have at least one site that would overlap. That would make it easier for our team to set up and to ensure that we have the broadcast possibility and availability to the community. We would ask some of our additional staff to assist in holding those at those respective campuses, as well as here at the Administrative Services Center. So we have 6 campuses. We need to do 7 of these, so one of the campuses would be duplicated unless, Ms. Naira, it would be your district that is the furthest, that we probably would not have a site, although I'm not sure if Mission is in yours. Yeah. So we could do that, Mr. Uxer. And then we'll have staff that will assist with it as well. I would imagine we can do it in the afternoon or evening. And so as far as the cost of this, we have the resources where we can make this work. We can get an estimate of what that cost will be and provide that to the board. As you're going through, so the next item on the agenda, I'm going to suggest rescheduling board meetings due to the fact that the board has some conflicts. In October, the Association of Community College Trustees National Conference is during the time of our regular board meeting. So that, from my perspective, would be too short of a time frame to come forward with this plan, because my suggestion is going to be October 20th. However, I think by the November board meeting, not only would we be able to do this, but we should be able to, with the help of bigger staff, be able to, and Mr. Ortega, to be able to come back with recommendations, because the next board meeting, we'd suggest a date of November 30th, given the fact that Thanksgiving is in the midst, in the timeframe of our traditional board meeting. So I think, fingers crossed, I think that we can get all of it done by November 30th with the assistance of Mr. Sequest and Mr. Ortega and their teams.
Off the top of your head, anybody have a concept of what kind of dollars are we talking about? 5 figures, 6 figures? I'm just curious, or would it be better not to even estimate? You're gonna have the budget, it's gonna sign off you, so give me a number.
So I cannot comment with regards to legal counsel costs. That part I cannot comment. But as far as the audiovisual, all of those, those are ours. And well, they're both ours.
The buildings at our facilities, so those are non-cost?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Other than the staffing, correct.
Yeah, we should have wrote that in the contract, redistricting is free.
Should have done this a long time ago.
So,
We should have done.
so I guess for the next steps, right, because we don't have a lot of time. And so what, we're directing and we're giving, maybe, we'll see where this vote ends up, but what would be the next steps then, right? Being mindful of the time frame. Who are these applications going to? Are you all saying, let's come back in a month and we will come back with recommendations in terms of a policy or what the criteria is for individuals that should be serving on this board? And I only say that because Judge Haggerty had brought up a good point in terms of, I don't want to be accused of, talking to, or having a hand in who these people are. So if that's the case, I know that we could select, for example, but we need help with this criteria in terms of individuals that say are not planning to run for office. There's not like an interest that they would have in serving in this committee would then potentially could, you could say, I'm going to skew the lines or put a precinct in a certain area or so. There's criteria that's out there that we could establish, but we just need that for right now. I don't have anything in front of me that's been presented today that we could adopt, so what would be those next steps?
Well, I can circle back with Mr. Ortega on what that might look like. My suspicion is that you're going to have fewer applicants probably than you need. And so, we can certainly put this application process out there, but it may fall back on you all ultimately if we don't have enough applicants to just pick someone that will do a good job and will be fair-minded about the process. So we can talk about what those applications might look like and how we can best publicize those. Through the district social media and otherwise, to try to get some applications. Obviously, getting the folks appointed, I think, is going to be the first and most important step, because logistically, scheduling everything we can't really do until we know who they are and can clear their schedules along with the respective buildings and other staff that are going to be necessary. So maybe Mr. Ortega and I can roundtable after this meeting and get back to you all on the best plan of how to move forward with an application process. And then hopefully we get a good slate of applicants that you all can choose from, and if not, just be prepared to make an appointment that you're comfortable with.
So our next meeting is not for another month, right? And so will we not know what the application process will look like? Because what I'm worried about is like we come back in a month and it's like, okay, this is what the application process is going to look like. We don't meet for another month until October, and that's when we can make the appointments. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're already in October and we have like a month left to go through this process.
I do, and I share that concern. My only thought on that is if there are going to be some criteria for application, if the board wanted to direct us to go put out applications and solicit input without any criteria, just, living in the district, then I think we could do that just on the board's direction tonight. If we're going to have criteria, I think that needs to come back before the board.
I think the criteria should be they should live in the district and they should be a registered voter.
Okay.
I think in
that's
the
what
interest of time, I think we have to do that.
That's it.
Just in the
Okay.
interest of time.
And over the age of 18, 18 or older.
Got it.
Be registered to vote. You have to. Makes sense.
That works for me.
Not clear to me is who specifically will be making the appointment. I understand that the board, for optic reasons, doesn't want to make the appointment, and that's understandable. But when you say you all will make the appointments, I just want some clarification if it's going to be one specific person from staff, the attorneys, or somebody else.
Mr. Francisco, do you volunteer?
Legal counsel.
I wouldn't do it just because, our obligation and our fiduciary duties to the college, and so that would be also us having some input and involvement in who's on the committee, and I don't think that that's the way to go. I think it could be Dr. Serrata, it could be somebody else, but I don't think it should be kind of left open.
How much is it going to cost? What if we get our student government association too? With the application.
Some of us may be in a position to volunteer. I know if they have demonstrated.
At what cost?
If they-
I'm just going to do it for free.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Mayor,
There's no money in there. 'Cause they give their time.
that sounds good.
I think my suggestion on that piece and how we usually do it is that the board would make the appointment. If we happen to have enough applicants to where you can draw blindly from a hat, that's great. If you don't have that and you just have to make the appointment, the only thing I would point out is that all of this will be done out in the transparency of open meetings, and there will be lots of opportunity for the public to give their own input. So if they happen to disagree with an appointment or what one of the appointed committee members does, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for them to express that and for you to hear it and address it.
Okay.
So I guess what you're saying then, maybe what the suggestion is from now until the next meeting, you all are, call for applications, people that are interested, apply, this is how you do it, and then at the next meeting, it's then presented to the board, these are the individuals that applied, motion to approve, and that we go through that process then.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. That might be just the easiest in terms of the time crunch that we're in. I'm okay with that.
Is that your motion?
Yes, that would
Do
be
I
my
have a
motion.
second?
Does that give you?
Second.
This is
Any
Ms.
discussion?
Robles.
Ms. Robles seconded it already.
Yeah.
Got your instructions. Good luck.
Do you, are they clear?
Oh,
Okay,
Pam,
we
we
can take
gotta
a
call the
vote.
Gotta call the question.
Okay, Mr. Exer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Take
Aye.
your vote.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Nahara.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye, and this is taking care of 1.7 all the way down to 1.9.10? Take care of all those? That's correct? On that motion, okay. All right, Pam, we're gonna go to 1.9.11.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item 1.9.11, discussion and take possible action regarding changing the Board of Trustees meeting dates.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, as I indicated earlier, in the month of October, the board will be attending, members of the board will be attending the ACCT conference. That will take place during the week of the 24th through the 28th. And as a result, that was our regularly scheduled board meeting was on Wednesday, the 26th. Staff and I are suggesting if amenable to the board that we schedule on Thursday, October the 20th.
Okay.
I want to make sure that that is good for the board, and so I would ask that you check your calendars. That's the most that's October. We still have September, so if the board chose not to act, then we could still wait until next month. And then the month of November, as I indicated earlier, the Thanksgiving holiday is scheduled for Thursday, November 24th, rather. Our regularly scheduled meeting is currently on Wednesday, the 23rd. I understand that members of the board, as well as the community, may be traveling, and so we would suggest Wednesday, November the 30th.
Wednesday, November 30th.
Wednesday, November the 30th?
Yes, ma'am.
Ask them if we can try to-
Again, the board does not have to act this evening. We can bring this back at the September board meeting. Those are the staff suggestions for the board.
What does the 19th look like? Wednesday, the
Of
19th.
October, instead of the 20th.
I think you're out of town.
It's a Thursday.
Yes, thank you, Pam. I have a Texas Association of Community Colleges quarterly meeting, Judge, on the 19th.
What's the November date you're recommending?
The 30th, ma'am.
Can we revisit it?
Absolutely.
In September? since we don't-
Absolutely.
Yeah, that way we can all have time to,
No worries.
thank you.
So we'll take no action at this
No
meeting on
action.
these dates?
Bring
Okay,
it up next.
Correct.
okay. Item 1.10, board reports. Item 1.10.1, treasurer's report, no action is required. Item 1.10.2, president's report. Item 1.10.2.1, Dr. William Sarata, college president, will update the Board of Trustees and audience on recent events that have transpired at the college to include an update on the COVID-19 pandemic and appropriate actions taken.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, it's always my pleasure to update you on occurrences at the college. First and foremost, I'd like to start by congratulating the Board of Trustees. The Association of Community College Trustees named El Paso Community College the 2022 Western Region Equity Award recipient. ACCT's awards program is designed to recognize and honor outstanding community colleges in various areas, including equity. EPCC is nationally recognized for its long history of ensuring and preserving access to higher education and success for all students. The college has had demonstrable success in increasing access to education, maintaining a diverse group of employees, and increasing graduation rates while promoting diversity and inclusivity. Thank you for demonstrating your leadership in setting the vision for equity and inclusion for both for the district, which is then executed by our faculty, staff, and administrators. We'd like to congratulate Mr. Lynette Chavez, our dual credit and early college high school counselor coordinator. He received the Trans-Pecos Counseling Association Outstanding Counselor Award for the 2021-2022 academic year. Congratulations, Mr. Chavez. Our counselors are an integral to the success of our students, so thank you for your great work and commitment to our students. The college's theater program presented Manuel Puig's Kiss of the Spider Woman, translated by Alan Baker. It was directed by theater faculty Ted Carber Jr. and interpreted in American Sign Language by the college's Sign Language program. The show opened on June 17th at the Trans Mountain Campus Forum for over 2 weeks with 6 performances. Guests paid admission by donating canned goods for the Valle Verde Campus Tejano Food Bank. The program is working on its next production, A Streetcar Named Desire, for November 12th through the 20th of this year. Congratulations to the theater department for their debut, which was also a great way to donate to a great cause. Would also like to congratulate our EMSP paramedic program and our graduating paramedics. They all had a 100% pass rate on the paramedic psychomotor exam. Great job to our students and the faculty members who helped them along the way to ensure their successful outcomes. Special thanks to capstone instructors Mr. Raimundo Brooks and Mr. Timothy Groover for their efforts and dedication to our students. We have great news to share about our medical assisting students. Congratulations to all 15 Bel Air dual credit EKG students who passed their national EKG certification in May of 2022. Special acknowledgement to YSD and EPCC Health CTE for running a great program leading to an excellent health certification outcome for our students. Thank you to Dr. Alejandro Romero, medical assisting instructor, for leading this effort at Bel Air under the supervision of Ms. Norma Ornelas, medical assisting coordinator at the college. Our dental hygiene program is proud to have been selected by the We Are All Human Foundation and the Hispanic Star, both nonprofit organizations, as one of 3 dental hygiene programs in the nation to participate and apply for scholarships. The foundation is a public charity devoted to diversity and inclusion as a way to achieve equity. The Hispanic Star organization was tasked with identifying 3 dental hygiene programs throughout the United States with a high percentage of Hispanic dental hygiene student enrollment and graduation. Through donations to the foundation from Procter & Gamble in the amount of $25,000, our students will be able to apply for a $7,500 scholarship to be awarded during Hispanic Heritage Month. Procter & Gamble designated the funding to assist Hispanic dental hygiene students in achieving their educational goal of becoming a part of the growth of the Latino workforce by becoming the next dental hygienists. Congratulations to our dental hygiene faculty for the recognition, and best of luck to our students with their applications. Over 30,000 books valued at $250,000 were donated by the Molina Foundation's 2022 Families Learning Together Book Buddies Initiative, an initiative to distribute 1.5 million books to nonprofits and community groups nationwide. Books were distributed by the college through its community library to promote literacy. Kudos to Ms. Laura Lee Ambris, head librarian at the Jenna Welsh and Laura Bush Community Library at our Northwest campus, for partnering up with the Molina Foundation to put brand new books in the hands of thousands of El Paso families. I would like to congratulate Rick Solis and Kyle Anson, former EPCC Tejanos, who will be inducted into the El Paso Baseball Hall of Fame. Rick Solis played for the Tejanos in the 99-2000 seasons, and he went on to play at Northwestern State University, then played in the Los Angeles Dodgers minor league system. Kyle Anson played for the Tejanos in 2002 and 2003. He finished his career at Texas State University and had 4 seasons in the New York Yankees minor league system. Congratulations to these 2 Hall of Famers. A big congratulations to Ms. Angeles Vasquez and Dr. Julie Penley for being selected as Data Equity Fellows to join the 2022-23 cohort of the Data Equity Fellowship. The Data Equity Fellowship is a 12-month fellowship with expert facilitation to support the successful implementation of a data-informed equity initiative aligned with your institution's mission and strategic plan, including sustaining and scaling of those efforts. The fellowship is being offered by the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities in partnership with SAC-COC for the 2022-23 cohort of Data Equity Fellows. They will have the opportunity to participate in the communities of practice with regional and national peers working towards similar goals. EPCC will participate in the Grow with Google HSI Career Readiness Program. This $2 million investment will help Latino students at 35 Hispanic-serving institutions prepare for the workforce through digital skills training and career workshops. A big thank you to Google's investment in students, and we are proud to be a part of the Grow with Google's HSI Career Readiness Program to help our students learn the digital skills they need for the future. Our College Readiness Department focuses on encouraging students to pursue higher education. Our staff reaches out to our adopted elementary schools to participate in events that focus on sharing the different programs EPCC offers and informing K through 12 students of higher education opportunities available to them after high school. This past year, mentors participated in events like Career Day, Read Across America, Coffee with the Principal, College Awareness Week, and College Readiness Day. Kudos to Mr. Michael Talamantes, Miros Paz, and the College Readiness mentors under Dr. Amaya for continuing to reach out to our adopted schools and community partners. Since the last board meeting, I've participated in over 60 virtual and/or in-person meetings, including 5 Texas Association of Community College meetings, a Business Advisory Council quarterly meeting, which I co-chair with Mr. Hunt, a joint Community College Association of Texas Trustees and Texas Association of Community Colleges Legislative Committee meeting, a Business Advisory Council prep meeting for our upcoming November meeting, and a TAC officers meeting with our TAC CEO and President Ray Martinez. I participated in a meeting with Mr. Mark Walker and Ms. Tracy Yellen from the Paso del Norte Foundation. I attended Medical Center of America's board meeting, attended an El Paso Collaborative for Academic Excellence discussion with Dr. Aguirre, met with Mr. Richard Dayub and Doug Schwartz, participated in a conversation on implementing and scaling 8-week courses with Dr. Greg Williams, the Odessa College CEO and President, participated in a mentor call for the Aspen Rising President's Fellowship, met with Mr. Eric Lupfer, our Executive Director at Humanities Texas, participated in a workforce work group meeting with the Texas Student Success Council. I traveled to Washington, D.C. to attend the Raise the Bar Summit hosted by the Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cardona, pardon me. I was honored to serve as the commencement speaker at McLennan Community College for their summer graduation. Participating in the Executive Committee meeting for Excelencia in Education. I was pleased to attend the Faculty Association meeting with Dr. Smith during Faculty Development Week. It was the first meeting that was held in person since the fall of 2019. I'd like to thank Dr. Burnham for the invitation. It was a pleasure to see so many of our outstanding faculty. I traveled to Indianapolis to attend the Lumina board meeting, hosted a luncheon for state representatives Dr. Mary Gonzalez, Representative Joe Moody, Representative Leonor Ortega. On Friday and today held one with Representative Claudio Ordaz Perez to discuss EPCC's legislative agenda and priorities. I'd like to thank Chair Haggerty, Ms. Sanchez, and Mr. Uxer for joining us to date. We still have other legislative luncheons that will take place. Given the city and county changes in reporting, this month's COVID report will follow what we discussed in July. We'll cover our daily cases and how that compares to our last report, our vaccination rates, and finally our hospitalization rate. Fortunately, we've finally begun to see a downward trend in daily cases. We're currently averaging 318 cases per day, which is substantially lower than the 452 cases we averaged the prior 2-week period, and also below the 376 cases we averaged the previous 2-week period. We currently stand at 83.2% of our population age 5 or older fully vaccinated, and 99.9% of our population having received their first vaccination. The 7-day average hospitalization rate is now reported daily. It currently stands at 3.89%. To summarize, our daily cases now appear to be declining, averaging 318 cases per day. Vaccinations are slowly increasing. As a reminder, the metric that is most significant at this point is the 7-day average hospitalization rate, which is 3.89%. The benchmark for this rate is 15%. Should we approach 15% in our community, then we will adjust accordingly. My recommendation is that we continue in phase 4 of our return to campus plan, which we have been in since Monday, August 15th. As a reminder to the board, phase 4 of our return to campus plan has the college operating at full capacity. We will continue to monitor the data, and keep the Board of Trustees informed of any recommended changes for your consideration. Chair Haggerty, that concludes my report.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Serrano? Thank you, Doctor. Pam, one-
Item 1.11, consent docket. Note that this includes item 3.2.
Have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 2, administration, none. Section 3, personnel, and item 3.1, discussion and action to approve full-time staff and faculty recruited in positions funded by the institutional budget. I will make note that you all received revised pages for the personnel section under 3.1, so those are different from what are in your notebooks.
Have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 3.3, discussion and action of the reappointment of new tenured faculty. Sorry, I'm losing my place here. Reappointment of continuing probationary faculty and authorization for the president to enter into written employment contracts and contract addenda for the 2022-2023 academic year with tenured and probationary faculty members.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 3.4, discussion and action of the reappointment of continuing regular classified staff, professional staff, and administrative staff, and authorization for the president to enter into written employment contracts effective September 1, 2022, with the employees listed.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Tom, we have a question?
I'm sorry to interrupt. You have an item on the agenda that relates to one person that's on the list, and it's item 1.3.3. If you could please hold off on this motion until after executive session, I would appreciate it.
So do we rescind? We already have a second, we have a first and a motion to approve in a second.
So I could just rescind my motion, correct? Pam,
rescinded.
please. Thank you.
Do you want to hold on that till after executive?
Move it to executive.
Is that correct, Counselor? All right.
Okay. Item 3.5, authorization for the president to employ part-time faculty and staff for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
Have a motion?
Can we make a motion? Do it? All right, motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 3.6, information items, no action is required. Section 4, financial services. Item 4.1, discussion and action on the renewal of a 2-year software maintenance support contract with Aleutian Higher Education for the Banner Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP, system in an amount not to exceed $581,055.
Move to approve.
Second.
Take a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.2, discussion and action on the approval of contract awards to purchase printing services and promotional items in an amount not to exceed $550,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.3, discussion and action on the approval to extend an existing lease by a period not to exceed 12 months and award of a new 5-year lease contract to Xerox Corporation for digital imaging printers in an amount not to exceed $477,081.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Just out of curiosity, why do we extend an existing lease for 12 and then award a new one for 5? I mean, what's the sequence?
Sure, good morning, Board. Good afternoon. The reason for that extension is because of the constraints, the chip manufacturers, the production of the equipment. We're not sure when it's going to arrive, but we're shooting for the end of the year, but it's possibility that it can extend, and I just don't have that ETA at the time. And that's just to make sure that we continue providing service and everything they need until the new machines arrive.
Any other questions? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.4, discussion and action on the approval of contracts with purchasing cooperative awarded vendors to provide copy paper for the instructional service centers and open computer labs for fiscal year 2022-23 in an amount not to exceed $130,000, an estimated annual aggregate amount.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.5, discussion and action on the approval to extend services for portable Wi-Fi hotspot devices for 6 months from T-Mobile for online instruction and work at home in the amount of $126,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. What was the rationale for 6 months? I guess I still don't understand why it's 6 months, not 1 month or a year, or what was magic about 6 months?
Mr. Uxer, the reason for the 6 months is because we currently have 2 contracts with T-Mobile for hotspots, and this lines up with the later contract that ends at the end of January. So it's just to extend this contract to end at the same time as the second contract that we went into effect last year.
Okay.
Any other questions? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.6, discussion and action on the approval of contract award to USI Southwest Incorporated for cyber insurance in the amount of $77,124.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.7, and I will have to read in order after I read this item out loud. Item 4.7, discussion and action on the acceptance of the 2022 certified appraisal roll with a net taxable value of property within the El Paso County Community College District of $55,901,578,300. $345.
Motion to accept?
Let me go
Second.
ahead and read the
She
order.
needs to read the order
Oh,
first.
sorry. But we're on 4.7.
Yes, ma'am.
But I thought the order doesn't come out until 4.10.
There's two different orders.
4.7.1-4.
So we have the order accepting the certified appraisal roll and then the order setting the tax rate.
Don't they have to read 4.10? Or is it the same thing? No?
They're two
Okay.
different.
Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
The order accepting the certified appraisal roll, whereas the Board of Trustees of said district desire that the appraisal roll for the district for the 2022 tax year be accepted and approved. Therefore, be it ordered by the Board of Trustees of the El Paso County Community College District that the appraisal roll for the district for the 2022 tax year be accepted as approved by the 2022 Appraisal Review Board and certified by the Chief Appraiser as follows. Net taxable value, $55,901,578,345.
You have a motion?
Motion to accept?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.8, discussion and action on the adoption of the 2022-2023 fiscal year operating budget of $158,143,134.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
If I could just make a comment, Judge, very quickly. Just wanted to thank again the budget team for putting together great workshops. We met 3 times. They were very long and substantive meetings, but they were worth it. And I hope that, not only our community members are able to tune in to hear what those discussions are, but I think the invested members of our faculty, staff, and administration also tune in too. This is your budget. These are your programs. I think everybody does a great job in presenting it, but we always welcome any comments and feedback from you all. So thank you very much. So great job putting that together. I appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Call the question?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.9, discussion and action on the adoption of the 2022-2023 auxiliary fund budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 4.10, discussion and action on the adoption of the order and the certificate of order setting the tax rate of $0.12611 per $100 valuation
I hear a
for the
motion.
fiscal year 2022-2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
And this has a much longer certificate that I have to read out loud, so. This
Go
is
ahead.
for certificate of order. We, the undersigned officers of the Board of Trustees of said district, hereby certify as follows. The Board of Trustees of said district convened an El Paso meeting on the 29th day of August, 2022, at the designated meeting place, and the roll was called of the duly constituted office and members of said board. And all of said persons were present except the following absentees, Dr. Carmen Olivas Graham and Ms. Nina Pena, thus constituting a quorum. Whereupon, among other business, the following was transacted at this meeting. Be it ordered by the Board of Trustees of the El Paso County Community College District that the maintenance and operations tax rate for the district for the 2022 tax year be set and adopted in accordance with Chapter 26 of the Texas Tax Code entitled the property tax code as follows. The operations tax rate, $0.122611 per $100 valuation, was duly introduced for the consideration of board and read in full. It was then duly moved and seconded that the order be passed.
Right.
And after, there's a little bit more, but that's after the vote is taken that we fill that in. So that is the order.
Just like to point out to everyone that that's a reduction from 13.4 that we had last year down to 12.2? So everybody should be happy.
So, and for clarification, I guess, Judge, so this is the no new revenue tax rate. But the way that this goes, right, is that if that's assuming we decrease in terms of taxes, assuming if our property values remained the same as last year. But I think what we know is that property values in El Paso County have risen. And so even when you do adopt, unfortunately, a no new revenue tax rate, we unfortunately see that increase. So I just want to make sure that's clear to the public as well, because the property values have increased for this community. And so you will see that. I think a couple of other taxing entities have adopted the no new revenue tax rate, but I think, to be transparent to this public, I mean, you have to realize that with the property values in El Paso County, that's why you end up still seeing that increase, if you will. I just wanted to make that comment. But it is no new revenue.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Call a question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye. This one we don't vote on.
Item 4.11, discussion and action on waiving the acceptance of pilot funds from the Housing Authority of the City of El Paso, rebranded as Home Housing Opportunity Management Enterprises, to be redirected to the YWCA for the provision of daycare services to EPCC students in the amount of $1,591.12.
Move to approve?
Second.
We do it. Okay. The lawyer says we vote on it. Got a second?
Second. Oh,
Any discussion? Call a question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 5, Physical Facilities. Item 5.1, discussion and action on the approval to increase the existing contract with M&G Pest Control for district-wide pest control services in an amount not to exceed $78,430.
Have a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 6, Curriculum and Instruction. Item 6.1, discussion and action on the approval to contract instructional design services with Blackboard Incorporated to support IREPO grant goals in the amount of $130,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call a question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.2, discussion and action on the acceptance of a Skills Development Fund grant award from the Texas Workforce Commission to provide training for Southwest Venture Plastics LLC in the amount of $91,628.
Move to approve 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4. I think
what I was saying.
6.5. Those are all, let's see.
Can you go ahead and read them all, Pam?
Yes, sir. Item 6.3, discussion and action on the acceptance of a Skills Development Fund Shell Grant Award from the Texas Workforce Commission in the amount of $50,000. Item 6.4, discussion and action on the approval of a Humana grant for the El Paso Community College Senior Adult Program in the amount of $8,000.
That's where you stop.
Oh, stop at 6.4.
Correct.
Okay?
Did you do 6.5 too?
No, it's not a grant.
Well,
it's
the
something
6.5
different.
and 6 are concurrent, did them separately.
Okay. All right. Do I have a second on those motions?
Second.
The only discussion is, Mr. Smith, let them know that we appreciate all the money that they can bring us.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. We do have a couple of folks in the audience that help participate with this. I think we've got Dr. Carmen Aguilar-Gerner in the audience, and of course, you heard from AVP Blaine Primzich earlier. Under his direction, his team's doing a great job. But we couldn't do it without the Grants Office under the direction of Dr. Carrie Moe and Mr. Bob Elliott. So thanks to all those folks that have put this all together. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our longest-serving current employee, Miss Mary Yanez. Are you still in the audience, Mary?
How long has she been employed?
Thank you, Chair.
50 years. But you got to tell us, Dr. Smith, how many years she's been employed.
I can not verify the 50 years. Ms. Yanez and I had a conversation
'cause you're only
last year, and she was going to be at 49, so we'll verify that. I think we need to keep her at least one more year to hit the 50, but I'll ask her to verify. Thumbs up, are you entering 50 years? Is this upcoming year 50? There we go. So I think,
You just have to give us another 50.
there you go. I think she will be our very first 50-year employee at the district.
That's awesome.
Congratulations. Okay, Pam, call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Okay, item 6.5, discussion and action on the approval of the restated and amended multiple EPISD Pathways in Technology Early College High Schools, PTEX interlocal agreement.
Move to approve.
6.5 and 6.6.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Let me read item 6.6. Discussion and action on the approval of the restated and amended Northwest Early College High School interlocal agreement. And Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 7, Student Services. Item 7.1, discussion and action on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for new courses.
Move to approve is 7.1 and 7.2.
Do I have a second?
Okay, item 7.2, discussion and action on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for revised courses.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Would you like to go into executive session?
Yeah, it just.
The Board of Trustees may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons. Consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation or for any purpose authorized by law. Discussion about the value or transfer of real property. Discussion about a prospective gift or donation. Consideration of specific personnel matters. Discussion about security personnel or devices, or discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Item 1.3.1, discussion with legal counsel regarding pending litigation styled Martha Quinones versus El Paso County Community College District and Hector Ariola in the 448th Judicial District Court of El Paso County, Texas, cause number 2018 DCV 2171 pursuant to section 551 of the .071 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.2, discussion with legal counsel regarding pending litigation styled Victor Perez versus El Paso County Community College District in the 120th Judicial District Court of El Paso County, Texas, cause number 2020 DCV 1105 pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.3, discussion with legal counsel regarding employee in the Department of Architecture, Art, Math, Science, and Kinesiology pursuant to section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.4, discussion with legal counsel regarding proposed incentive payments to eligible employees pursuant to section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.5, discussion with legal counsel regarding the intervention in Public Utility Commission of Texas proceeding PUC docket number 52195, SOAH docket number 473-21-2606, application of El Paso Electric Company to change rates pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. The time is now 6:55 p.m., and the Board of Trustees will now go into executive session.
Okay, we're back in session. First thing I want to let everyone know is our next board meeting will be September the 28th at 4:30 here at this facility. And Pam, we have some issues that we have to cover.
Yes, sir. We'll start with item 1.9.2, discussion and take possible action regarding Martha Quinones versus El Paso County Community College District and Hector Ariola in the 448th Judicial District Court of El Paso County, Texas, cause number 2018 DCV 2171.
Have a motion?
No action.
No action on that. Okay,
Okay.
next item.
Item 1.9.3, discussion and take possible action regarding pending litigation styled Victor Perez versus El Paso County Community College District in the 120th Judicial District Court of El Paso County, Texas, cause number 2020 DCV 1105.
I have a motion?
No action.
Excuse me. I think it's accepting the recommendation of council as discussed in executive session.
For 1.9.3?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Make a motion to accept the recommendation of council as discussed in executive session.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 1.9.4, discussion and take possible action regarding an employee in the Department of Architecture, Art, Math, Science, and Kinesiology.
I make a motion to accept the resignation of the employee in the Department of Architecture, Art, Math, Science, and Kinesiology.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 1.9.5, discussion and take possible action regarding proposed incentive payments to eligible employees.
Have a motion?
No action.
No action? Okay.
No action.
Next item, Pam.
Just one moment. Okay, I believe we're now going over to item,
1.9.6.
oh, I'm sorry, I thought we just did that one. Sorry. Item 1.9.6, discussion and take appropriate action related to intervention in Public Utility Commission of Texas, PUC proceeding, PUC docket number 52195, SOH docket number 473-212606, application of El Paso Electric Company to change rates.
I hear a motion.
I make a motion to authorize legal counsel to execute the joint motion to implement uncontested stipulation and agreement and the stipulation agreement on behalf of El Paso Community College according to the terms discussed in closed session in the application of El Paso Electric Company to change the rates, PUC docket number 52195, SOAH docket number 473-21-2606, and further authorize legal counsel to take all steps necessary to effectuate the conclusion of the same.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Okay. Now we are going to move over to, yeah, just trying to sort out papers here.
It doesn't say that.
We're going to be on item 3.4, discussion and action of the reappointment of continuing regular classified staff, professional staff, and administrative staff, and authorization for the president to enter into written employment contracts effective September 1, 2022, with the employees listed.
So I make a motion to approve, except for the employee as referenced in 1.9.4, also, which is the labs facility supervisor in the biology department.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Okay.
I think that's it. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So made.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.
You don't
Okay,
need
the
a
time is
motion to adjourn.
7:46 PM.
You just adjourn the meeting.